Here we go. Okay, thank you so much. I just wanted to welcome a dear friend of mine who I've known for many, many years together. Close to probably 16 years now, 17 years at this point.
Yeah.
But I'd like to just thank Shlomo Simkins for making this video. But really, the reason why I'm making it is because Shlomo is, besides for being a very special person, has been a client of mine in my executive coaching world. And I just wanted to have a chance to have an honest conversation about Shlomo about as far as our experience working together. Shlomo's background is he has an MBA from Harvard, and then he has spent the past many years being the co-founder of a medical company, which I'll tell you about. But I just wanted to introduce Shlomo. And Shlomo, if you could just give me just a bit of a background, just people know about who you are and what you're doing, then we'll go into it, okay?
Awesome, great. My pleasure. I'm very excited of doing this with you, Rabbi Lynn. These past years, I can be hours and hours just saying all the things that I learned from you throughout the years. So thank you. So basically, I grew up in Venezuela, studied engineering. As Rabbi Lynn said, I worked in consulting for a couple of years, and then I went to Harvard Business School to do my MBA. And then I co-founded a company in digital health called Mediclic. We are the leading telehealth player in Latin America. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay, fantastic. So Shlomo, if you could just say, before we started working together, what did you feel like you were really like trying to figure out, or where were you in some way struggling as far as managing things? And if you could just tell me a bit about that, then we'll go into as far as how our work kind of helped deal with those things.
Okay, great. So yeah, I think a bunch of things. I think that mainly I had my professional career going on one end. I had my learning on another end. I had my personal life. I have 6 kids, Baruch Hashem, and an amazing wife. And I felt that life was running very, very quickly, and I was pushing on each direction, a little bit here, and then a little bit there, and then a little bit. But it was difficult to see like the big picture and feel that there was a overall success. Like it was like now I'm pushing this, I'm success here. Now I'm pushing that. So, but how about the balance? How about the big vision of what my life can look like? So I felt that was something that I needed to address. Too many balls being carried at the same time, and just to have the vision, the direction of how to put my energy on a more organized way, and be able to have that feeling of overall balance.
Okay, amazing. And tell me, when we then came together and started working, what did you feel happened as far as all those areas that you were trying to work on?
So very interesting. I think that the first thing that happened was that right now I explained like 3 different areas, right? It's very clear. But before it wasn't even clear in my mind, right? It was like one big area. So I think that the first discovery was to see how each area had its own objectives, its own goals, and be able to put more boundaries between the different areas, right? So that was the first, say, discovery, right? And then we started digging into each of the areas and seeing, okay, like what's going on well here, right? What are the strengths that I have that are making it happen properly? And what are the blockages that, without realizing, are not allowing me to push on the fullest, right? And we did it for each of the areas. It was very interesting.
And let me ask you, how did you feel like these areas that we worked on, how did you feel that they improved by us doing that kind of work together?
Okay, so let's start as an example. Let's start with the professional one, the professional life. I think that one of there were many gains in this area, right? But probably one of the major one was the ability to realize that a lot of the activities that I was doing and a lot of the time that I was dedicating and the effort that I was putting into my job was actually taking me further away of what I wanted to accomplish, right? Because instead of identifying, I want to accomplish A, what are the three things that really need to happen? What's the, right, which are probably the most complex one, the more difficult ones, the ones that need me to go out of my comfort zone and make brave decisions, right? Those things were the ones that being pushed to a back of the list, right? Because it's easier to do the, another version of the PowerPoint presentation, right? Or another practice of the investment pitch or whatever it is, right? So I was filling my day with activities that not necessarily, I mean, there was always value, right? I never felt that I was wasting the time, right? But there's value, but the value was very small compared with the value of actually picking up the phone and making that important phone call and having that important conversation, which I just was pushing and pushing because I was too busy turning off fires, right? So I saw my life before, like I'm turning fires and fires and fires, and then I realized that a lot of those fires I was inventing them myself just to keep me busy instead of doing what I really had to do, which was to make a few phone calls, to have a very few high-level important meetings and man up and go and actually do it, right? So I think that was the main thing. With that, I was able to actually like spend less hours, in the office, right? Free time, and free more time, and feel more geschmack. I don't know how to say it in English, right? More satisfied with my work because I was seeing, okay, great. I made the phone call and it worked, right? Or maybe it didn't, but now it's off my list, right? Now I have to do something like, I know that this possibility, this potential deal, it's really not so much a potential deal. Okay, so let me focus on another potential deal, right? So instead of just going in circles, trying to get a bit better and more prepared for that.
Fantastic. And when we were working together, if you had to look back on it and you had to think of like one like huge highlight that came out of it for you, anything you can think of that was like really like stuck out as far as like that insight or a certain thing that we did together as far as that?
Yeah, I think that that maybe probably the most interesting exercise was the exercise of just spending a little bit of time imagining, like there's something difficult that I need to do, right? As I was just saying, like that type of example, I have to make a very important phone call, right? I have a very high level conversation, right? And I was pushing and pushing a little bit because so imagine how your life is going to look if you actually do it, and imagine how it's going to look if you don't do it, right? And spend a few minutes every day just closing the eyes and seeing how am I going to feel after actually making that phone call. So Zell, go for it, right? So that gave me a lot of energy to see all the abundance, in my life. If I made the difficult decisions, but the right decisions, instead of just like pushing away from having to make them.
Fantastic. Amazing. And one last question here is that someone who is, I speak to a lot of people that are thinking about, okay, let's work together, and maybe they're nervous about coaching. They don't know me. They are, who knows what. they're held back, what would your encouragement be to them as far as to move forwards with the process?
Yeah, I will say like this. I will say it's a life-changing experience. It's a transformational experience, and nobody. I wasn't expecting so much results and so much change in my life. We just talk about the professional, but this applies also to my learning, and it applies very much also to my marriage and my relationship with kids, etc. Right? The improvement that I was able to have in my life was amazing, and I didn't even envision that. So you have to try it out. You know, you just have to go and just try it out for a couple of months, and you will see. You know, it's I really don't know how can people go through life without coaching. Like, you need that. You need that objectivity, that person from outside telling you, listen, asking you the right questions. Are you really doing what you want to do? Are you really like helping you rethink things? And it's a very powerful experience.
Wow. Okay. Shlomo, this has been just, I really appreciate your time. I know you're busy, so thank you so much for making this happen. And again, it's always a privilege to hang out with you. And again, just thank you so much for everything. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Rylan.
Okay. Lots of love.
Okay.